You are now tuned into Shotgun Sports USA. Powered by Winchester. Recorded in the U.S. and streaming all over the world. We talk to shotgun shooters from all disciplines, championship-winning coaches, gun clubs, world-class target setters, vendors, and industry-leading companies that fuel the sport. If you are into clay target sports, you are at the right place for insider information from some of the best in the world every single week. Remember to subscribe to our podcast, leave us a review, and connect with us on social media. You can also catch our episodes on shotgunsportsusa.com.
Legendary Winchester AA shot shells are used throughout the world by millions of shooters. One specific AA target load that has everyone talking is the AA Diamond Grade. The Diamond Grade Elite target load has 8% antimony shot. It's the hardest shot available for crushing clays, and it's copper-plated. Winchester AA. It's the choice of champions.
Being a brand name in the clay target industry, Rick Hemingway has said, "Have you ever noticed almost all major sporting events are being run by Pro-Matic traps?" Think about that statement for a minute. He's right, and you may want to consider that before making your next purchase. Rick is the largest Pro-Matic dealer specializing in individual and commercial trap sales. Rick provides skeet, trap, 5-stand, and sporting clays, designs, installs, and service. He also offers accessories such as solar panels, wireless release systems, as well as the hottest item on the market, the Claybot by Renair Products. Visit www.backwoodsquailclub.com or give him a call at 843-546-1466.
My guest on the show today owns and operates Fennell Shooting School out of Sharon, South Carolina. He has been involved in this sport for a long time, and his accomplishments are definitely something to brag about. I'm glad to have him on with me today. Please welcome Will Fennell. Will, what's up?
Not much, buddy. Good to hear from you, man.
Yeah, you know, I was going to call you a little earlier, but I figured you just got home from driving back from Nationals.
I've been back a couple of days, but it was a long trip, no doubt about it.
How long does it take you to get from San Antonio back to your house?
Well, I usually, like this trip, when I finished up Sunday evening, I drove to Houston. I'd been teaching a week before at a West Side sporting place, or West Side shooting ground, excuse me. They call it sporting ground. So I had a room there at one of their guest houses. So I just pile in there late Sunday night, sleep a few hours, got up, and from west side of Houston in Katy, Texas, it was 15 and a half hours the rest of the way home. And west side's about 3 hours, 3.5 hours from the gun club. So 18 and a half hours, 19 hours.
Yeah, it took me a week to get home. So that's a good point. You brought up West Side Sporting Grounds, and you were teaching there. Tell me a little bit about what you do there before Nationals. I met the owners from West Side through Henry Hopking, the mental trainer that I work with a lot out of the UK. And Lori Daniel, it's a couple that owns the place, Lori and Dan Daniel. Lori was coming to see Henry, and she actually came to work with Henry here at Fennell Shooting School. And while they were here, she got a lesson from me, and we kind of hit it off, and I started coaching her a couple of years ago. So they'd really been after me to come out there and teach at their club. And I'd been to West Side probably 15 or 20 years ago for some tournaments. It was a nice little club kind of out in the countryside, and didn't think that much about it. I went back when did I go back? I guess I went back last fall for the first time, and it is a stunning club. I mean, it really is. It's got 3 courses. One's got 2 machines station. And then the other 2 have 4 machines per station. Couple 5 stands, big teaching area, 110-foot tower. Halise ring, all this cool stuff. So I've been starting to go out there and teach a bit and put together something kind of fun for leading into nationals. It was myself there. Jim Greenwood rolled in on his way to San Antonio and set up and did pattern stocks fittings for a week while I was there. And then Dr. Rich Colo, our eye guru, he was going to come to nationals for the first time, and he stopped in at Westside and did clinic there for a week. So all three of us were there at the same time. Great synergy. If I had somebody with an eye issue, I could go over and take them and hand them off to Colo. And if somebody needed some stock work done, I could run over and see Jim. And if somebody couldn't mount the gun, Jim could send them to see me. And it was just a great, great week. We were kind of calling it Sporting Clays Lollapalooza. There was so much stuff going on, but it's a really, really cool place. And I tell you, for me, it's a great place to be at for a little while before nationals, because there's just something about the targets in Texas. Just to us people in the Southeast, they just look a little different. The air looks a little different. The backgrounds look a little different. And to get out there, I taught 48 hours of instruction in a week, but saved a couple hours every day in the afternoon to go shoot by myself, and then took a few days off after that, leading up to nationals, and did a little more serious practice and relaxed a little bit and practiced and got ready for nationals. Shot quite a few targets, and they just have limitless possibilities to work on stuff at that club. And some of the people coming through there was pretty telling. And I saw Joe Finizzi out there practicing on a regular basis leading up to nationals. I'll tell you what, that kid's serious about what he's up to. Cade Facey was out there practicing with us, and a lot of the Houston area folks, that was a place they were warming up and getting ready for nationals. And some people, Jimmy Warren and Harvey Schwartz from Georgia, they're flying out. They stopped in Houston and shot for a day with us. Nice. So there's a lot of people kind of figuring out that it's not a bad idea to kind of get to Texas a little early if you have the luxury of that kind of time and warm up a couple days.
Yeah, that's what some people had mentioned to me, that they were going earlier, and I wondered. I've been to San Antonio a few times, and I should have went and practiced myself. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, so it really is. It's a little overwhelming, when you first get out there, and there's so much going on. There's so many events, so much hoopla. There's so much, activities and things and stuff going on. And I had a up and coming shooter ask me after the shoot. They said, how does Joe Finizzi do it? How does he put up those monumental scores? And I said, well, he's really focused on what he's doing. And the person asked me that. So what do you mean? I said, well, he's not worried about going and talking to the next sponsor. He's not worried about how much fun he's going to have at the pizza and beer party at the gun club afterwards. He's not worried about, other stuff. He's there to win the national championships. And you could see it on his face the whole event. He was nice. He was pleasant. Don't get me wrong. And you could tell Joe was having a good time. But Joe was there to win the national championships. And that was what was on his mind. And you could see it 100 yards away.
Oh, yeah.
And good on him.
Yep, that's right. So teaching at Westside, and you have a few hours off every day, and you took a couple of days to practice. Aren't you mentally drained after all this coaching and then heading to nationals?
It's different. A lot of people say, coaching kills you shooting. And I've never believed that. And a lot of the guys that do what I do, the level I do, have told me they feel the same way. It's not the coaching itself.
No.
It's the being on the range for 7 or 8 hours, 9 hours. And when you're done at the end of the day, the last thing you want to do is go back out on the range.
Right. It
cuts into your practice because you lose, the energy or the enthusiasm to go back out on that range you've been on all day. And, I had to make myself get my gun out at 5 o'clock and go back out and shoot for an hour and a half. And I was getting pretty pumped up for this nationals. I was pretty excited about it. So it wasn't too hard, but I did need a couple days in there where I slept in a little bit, and charged the batteries, and just kind of was about will time a little bit, not about worried about the next student. But no, I don't find teaching hurts my shooting at all.
Yeah.
It hurts my enthusiasm to go back out and practice. That's what it hurts.
Right.
Because you've just been standing on that range all day. But with a place like Westside, where there's so many different target presentations, the ground crews out changing targets virtually daily. So there was always another experience, another target to figure out, another presentation. And, they drive up, and Daniel that works there drive up and go, Will, what do you want to see here? And I go, well, we hadn't thrown Rabu here, and I hadn't seen a 70 Shondell lately. And I go about 2 stations down, and he comes by and says, it's set up for you. You go back to the station. He's just brought a new machine in, it's set new targets for you. So it's a pretty cool joint. It's one of my favorite clubs. It's private, but there's a lot of opportunity with people, and friends and stuff to shoot there a little bit. So
that's cool.
It's a pretty cool place.
I need to go check that out.
You ought to come out there, buddy.
I need to check it out next year. I think I met her at the U.S. Open this year.
Yep. You met her probably with me at the Open or Seminole Cup, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've been squatting together a good bit. She's a big FITASC shooter. So Lori Daniels loves FITASC, loves Halise. She was ladies national Halise champion a couple of years ago, last year.
Nice. I think you told me that. Yeah. I think you told me that. Yeah.
So Westside is just working out amazing. Really enjoy teaching at that place. The market around in Texas and in Houston in particular is huge. There's lots and lots and lots of shooters. Really enjoyed a couple trips I made out there this year. So starting in 2022, I'm going to be making 4 trips a year to Westside. The first one's going to be in January. Second one is going to be in April between the Browning Briley and the World English. And then I'll set the dates for the next 2. I'm sure the last one will probably be right before Nationals again. So that market's really working out for us. And I tell you, also I get a chance to work with my buddy Steve Liberta and, of course, Dan Carlisle. They're both in that area. And we got kind of a new up-and-comer also. You've met Cade Facey before?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Cade's a good kid. He's been working with Steve Liberta primarily and Dan for, I think since he was like 12 or something. And I've worked with him a little bit, mainly just kind of on his FITASC mount and a couple things like that. But I've really gotten to know the kid real well. The kid, he's a nice young man, heck of a shot. And we've got Cade starting to teach a little bit. And he'll be working, I think, primarily out of Westside. So the students that I see out there on my 4 trips, if they need help in the meantime, before I get back, Cade can help them out. It's a good young man. He's got really good teaching skills, really good people skills. And I think he's going to make a fine young instructor.
Yeah, I always wondered who coached him. Now I do. Now I know.
Yep, Steve Liberta.
Nice. Okay. Well, good.
Yep. Steve produced a lot of great youth shooters out there.
He has. I know Halen Hanks.
Work with him. Yeah, Halen Hanks, Megan, lots of them. Bajali. Mm-hmm. So lots of good kids. But anyway, Cade's a good kid. He's taking it real serious. He followed me around. He followed Steve around. He followed Dr. Colo around while he was out there learning more so he can be a better teacher. And I think he'll do fine.
Well, good. Yep. So let's speak. We talked about nationals for a second. Have you seen the wind like it was this year and previous years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe not for as many days, but yeah. I mean, it's Texas, man.
Right.
It blows out there, and you can, you just hit the wrong course on the wrong day. And now one of the things I do like now with that main road that runs through the middle of the grounds, and the courses are kind of all along that one north-south, east-west road.
Right.
Half of each course faces north and half faces south. So, that helps mitigate things a little bit,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because each day you're going to shoot some of your stations facing north and some facing south, as opposed to all of them facing one way and you get hammered. And then the next day the wind blows the other way and kills you in the other direction. But that's a tough thing. And there's a lot of hurdles with nationals. It's a grind. It's a lot of, the main event is 40 stations. Think about that. 40 stations.
Yeah. It's a bunch.
You spread it over 2 days. You spread it over 4. We still argue back and forth, which is better. I personally enjoy shooting the 4-day traditional rotation. But the argument could be made that if you gamble and do it over 2 days, you got less opportunity to have a really bad weather day in there.
Yeah.
Or if you have a bad weather day, it just completely wipes you out, one or the other, you know?
Yeah. Let me ask you this, and you probably don't know the answer to this, or maybe you do. Has anyone ever won the Nationals off the 2-day rotation?
No, unless Bubba Walton did when he won it, but that was kind of a messed up year all the way around. I think Bubba did.
Okay.
But that was, again, that whole year was kind of messed up because of the flood and the way they had to solve the Nationals. Not taking anything away from Bubba at all, but there was a lot of abnormalities going on that year. But I think no one on any other year has won it in 2 day.
Yeah. So
I could be wrong on
we'll
that.
just stick
Zach
with the 4.
Correct me.
Well, yeah, probably. We'll just stick with a 4 day in hopes we'll win it. You know?
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Know yeah. So I think the only thing that got blown around out there, or only thing that didn't get blown around out there, was me, and you probably. You know.
Yeah, I mean, the win was tough. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I shot Thursday and Friday in it. Friday wasn't quite as bad, but Thursday was tough. And on Thursday, I shot the green at 8 o'clock. Then I shot 2 parkours of FITASC, and then I shot the K Cup. And that was too much in one day. It's just, I kind of didn't have any choice. Kind of broke one of my own rules. I usually try not to shoot more than about 175 birds in a day. During Nationals, I shot more that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty wore out.
Yeah.
Going around the end of in that K Cup.
You know, I was talking to someone the other day about this, and that is, we were talking about being tired of shooting the same courses every time you go to Nationals. So if you're going to shoot the main event, it's all on one road. And then the K Cup's over here, you know, on the side, and then the 5 stands around the back. Why don't they move them around? Like put one of the main events.
They have.
Okay.
You just ain't been doing this that long.
Okay. So, but why don't they change it up still? I've been doing, I've been there 4 or 5 years.
Probably are due in the next year or so to have a big scramble again.
Okay.
Like the FITASC, where the FITASC is.
Yeah.
Because that's one of my favorite subjects and not yours. That's only been there for like the last couple of years.
Okay. It seems like the targets vary some, but it's still the same, you know, in the years that I've been going.
That main event, though, I tell you, they've had main event in a lot of different places. Doing it along that road, though, where half of each course could face one way and half could face the other, that's a pretty good thing with helping level out the wind and the weather and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you the one thing I'd love to see them change more so than where they put the targets. I don't care who you are. 8 o'clock in the morning, main event, the first 30 minutes, it's dark.
Yeah.
And it can vary. Like if you get a station that's more out in the open for that very first station at 8 o'clock, you got a pretty good break. You got one that's more shaded under the trees, man, you feel like Ray Charles out there.
Yeah.
And I would love to see NSCA, and I'm sure somebody's thought of this before, and I'm sure there's some reason they can't. But if they could start, instead of going 8 to 5, they could go 8:30 to 5:30, I think it'd be a world of difference. Because that last 30 minutes is near as detrimental as that first 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you hear about on our last podcast, the top 40 shooters being squatted together in the same rotation next year?
Yeah. Yeah.
What you think about that?
It's always a good idea. It's been tried it before. It's been done before.
Yeah.
There'll be a bunch of bitching and moaning.
Yeah.
It'll be logistically kind of a nightmare for a lot of people, but I think it's a good idea.
I mean, who will be the complainers? I mean, the people in the top 40 or the people not in the top 40?
The people in the top 40 that have friends they like to squat with, that aren't in the top 40.
I got you. Yeah.
You know, hey, we came out here and we brought our 4-seat Ranger and we're used to squatting together, and now, you know, our buddy who's the big dog, who's, you know, shooting in the top 40, can't shoot with us now. He's got to go rent a golf cart. Now we're not all riding at the same time. And, you know, blah, 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 blah. Now, is it probably a good idea to bust some of these big groups of friends up? Could be.
Right.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But it's a good idea. There'll be also people playing that, you know, that they didn't make the cut. Well, they just need to have I don't know how they're going to determine the top 40, whether it's the top 40 finishes of the year previous, or the top 40 All-American points, or the top 40 points getters so far next year before Nationals. they need to say how they're going to pick the top 40.
Yeah.
And they need to stick to it. It needs to be like black and white. If it's subjective at all, it'll be a nightmare.
Well, we could probably name out the top 20 right now and not even have to worry about who those are.
20 that's
right. Yeah. And if
the
you're
the last 10's the tough ones.
If they're in that top 40, you're talking about squad a minute ago. If they're in that top 40, they're probably not real worried about squadding with their buddies anyway because they want to win. Well, that's the way I would be.
Last time this was tried, there were some very vocal top shooters about not wanting to do it.
Huh.
Yeah, I was very surprised too.
It don't matter to me. I would just shoot, fight the opportunity to be in the top 40 and shoot with those guys and a chance to win. That's what I'd want to do. I care less about anything else.
Yep.
So
I think it's a good idea. I'm just from past experience, we need to go at this eyes wide open and not assume that it's going to be so easy. And NSCA needs to get ahead of it rather than, people are signing up for nationals right now. There's already, Amy Crow told me the other day, there's already 400 and something people signed up for nationals. Now they've built their rotations, they've got their travel plans, they're all riding together, and now they're going to find out they're going to have to break up.
Oh well,
I'm with you. Oh well, but you want things to run smooth, and you don't want to be a bunch of drama. You get ahead of things and not come from behind.
Well, let me tell you what we need to get ahead of, and this isn't anybody's fault as far as a gun club's concerned, but Nationals had a huge problem with trappers this year.
Oh yeah, and it's just going to get worse across the country.
And it's not. I was going to say it's not just Nationals. It's a lot of places that can't find trappers. I mean,
today's labor market. How many restaurants have you been to lately where the dining room's closed at the fast food joint and they're only doing drive-through because they can't find enough people to clean the tables and take the food out, or just all small businesses all over the country can't find the most basic of labor. Well, I made a couple inquiries about this, thinking about it the other day, and clubs typically pay, I'm sure they're outliers, but in average that I talk to, it's $75 to $80 to about $120 a day for a trapper.
Right.
And that's a long day. That's like be there at 7 and you leave at 6, Where are you going to find people that'll do that 3 or 4 or 5 days in a row?
Right. Yeah.
How many hundreds of trappers do you need at a big shoot?
Yeah.
And so then like at nationals, what my understanding, I could be wrong, but what I had heard anecdotally is, what happened is they had some, military folks that were supposed to be there Saturday, Sunday to ref. And, last minute, they just found out they weren't coming. So they had to do some score your own on some of the courses at the nationals because they didn't have enough referees.
Was that in FITASC?
No, that was in sub gauge, I think, and maybe like side by side and pump gun or something. They at least made it some of them. I hate to say this, but lesser important events as opposed to FITASC in the main kind of thing.
You think this is going to be something we're going to see at more tournaments?
Yeah, I do, because here's a couple things that are going on. One, that labor situation is getting worse, not better.
Mm-hmm.
2, there's an effort to try to get more newer clubs to, like they have a regional like Cross Creek. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when Big Red Oak has regional or Backwoods Quail Club has regional, they've been doing big shoots for a while. They've built up a referee list to work off of. They got people that they've used before. So when you got, and I'm not picking on Cross Creek at all, they're just newer at it. Okay.
Right.
So they're going to have a bigger hurdle of finding 150 referees.
Yeah.
To do a regional, as will any club that's not used to doing them on a regular basis. Everybody always says 2 places they throw out, maybe 3 that they throw out are, always run really well. That's M&M, Backwoods Quail Club, Northbrook, Big Red Oak, Forest City. Those places have been doing big shoots for a while. They have a ready pool of people that have done this before that they can fill up their they're referees because they've got people that've done it before. Well, if you hadn't really done one of these big shoots, you've never really cultivated 100 referees, you know?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Anyway, it's just going to be interesting to see how they handle it. I personally, I'd rather them see them have maybe a few less events and do it well, and then start having, score your own sub gauge or something like that.
Yeah.
When it's a championship, there's a title that goes along with it, and it might be, 410 super vet regional champion, but that means something.
Right.
And, I think at a feature event like that, there needs to be referees.
Yeah.
It's my opinion, hey, I get it. It's hard to find enough people. If you can't find enough people, maybe you just don't need to have side-by-side pump gun, I hate to say it, even super sporting or 5-stand. Maybe pick fewer events and do a first-class job of them.
Right. That's all. I like what Julia Gilman and Jim Gilman were doing with the trappers. Finding trappers for different shoots. And you know anything about that? Yeah, I don't know exactly how they were doing it, but I believe that they would go into a shoot and have a list of trappers ready to go for these for these different places.
I thought you were talking about how they actually recruited them.
Oh no,
yeah, there's been groups like that in the past, and there are still in the future, and that's great, and it really is great. It's just whether we can afford to pay what people are going to want to get paid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, you look at somebody and say, hey, I'm going to give you $100 bill, and you're going to sit here from 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 in the evening in the sun with a bunch of people that are going to, that a fair number of them are going to argue with you about whether they had a chip off that bird or not.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's I've often thought about that walking up to a station. How many people have already argued with these people ahead of me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I actually had pretty good experiences with referees at the Nationals. I've heard some people complain. I think there was only like one person that I didn't feel like did a super job, and quite frankly, it was 5:30 in the afternoon, and she'd been sitting in that one seat all that time with a pair that was kind of hard to see, and she was tired.
Yeah.
And she didn't do anything wrong. It just, was kind of, sometimes they were quick pulls. Sometimes they were little late pulls. There were sometimes she saw the birds, sometimes she didn't. But
yeah,
I mean, it's been a long day for $100 bill.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. That's right. You brought up something that I think's a pretty good observation, but next year's schedule of shoots, they seem like they're all piled together.
God almighty.
And I'm looking.
I was sitting and working on schedule 2 nights ago, and it starts at it starts with all the Florida shoots. For me, I've kind of picked the one in the Florida shoots I believe I'm going to do is the Jack Links.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I was focused. But from there, it's about every other week there's a major tournament.
Yeah.
Until, into June.
Yeah.
Then there's a little bit of a lull because not a lot of people want to put big shoots on top of, the World FITASC, and that's in July. But then by the end of July, it's back to Northbrook for a regional, and
right.
And it's just boom to boom to boom. It's every other week.
Yeah.
There's 3. I love FITASC. They've got these 3 200 bird World Cup FITASC events. They're virtually in a row.
Yeah.
Well,
so you won't get out of rhythm.
Yeah. It'll be, it's going to be, it's a luxury for the shooters because they can pick and choose. There's shoots that I really want to go to. There's shoots I kind of feel like I need to go to, but we're in a buyer's market. There's more shoots than there are very few people on this circuit that can budget the time, much less the money, to go to the roster of major big blast shoots in the United States.
Yeah.
And I don't know if something's got to give or if we're just getting that many shooters. but it's amazing to me. I think it has hurt some of the 200-man shoots we all seem to used to go to in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now everything's a 500+ man regional, or, you know, hell, Georgia State. How big was that last year?
Big.
Almost 600.
Yeah.
Yeah. South Carolina State, 450.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
What?
Texas State. The Texas State is like the weekend after the World English.
Yeah.
So you go to the World. I'm going to go out to Texas, go to the Browning Riley, shoot the 200 bird FITASC event, teach over Easter at West Side, and then go shoot the World English Championship in San Antonio. And I kind of halfway want to try to stay and go up to Defender and shoot at Travis Mears' place for the Texas State, because it'll probably be 700 shooters. But I don't think I can be gone that long.
Yeah, you can.
Castellani shooting vests are manufactured in Italy and internationally recognized by elite shooters as the most popular lightweight shooting vests on the market. Castellani vests are especially known for their Italian styling and superior craftsmanship and quality, making them a vest of choice for all shooting disciplines. Ultimate Shooting Accessories is the exclusive supplier of Castellani vests in the United States. Visit ultimateshootingaccessories.com for more information and to place your order.
How do you plan? So someone that's, you know, and you're right when you said that not everybody can, one, get the time to go or have the means to go to all of these shoots. So how do you plan? If you were one of these people, how do you plan your year?
Well, I mean, first off, they need to, you know, most people got to see what their family time will budget them for time. You know, how much time can you be away from home?
Right.
And how much time can you be away from work? Because these shoots these days, you're there for, as you know, you're there for the better part of a week.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you go and you get home.
Right.
Okay. So how many weeks vacation you got that you don't have to take the family to the beach or something else? How much money you got? And then you pick, you know, are you trying to make All-American team? Well, then you need to go to where the most points are available. Are you trying to make the USA Sporting Clays team FITASC or Sporting? Well, then there's certain shoots you got to go to. But if not, pick the shoots that have the reputation, the kind of shoot, and the kind of place you want to go to. And if you don't have anything specific you're trying to achieve, I always encourage people, if you've been to Northbrook a couple times and it's coming around this year and it's between Northbrook and, say, Providence Hill, Providence Plantation for the South Central Regional, maybe go to Providence to try a new place. There's so many great venues in this country that you can shoot in totally different surroundings than you're maybe used to in your home area.
Yeah.
You know,
the thing about Providence is it's going to be in June. Am I right?
Yeah.
June?
No. Providence is later. It's August or September.
Okay. August or September. Regardless, it's hot. And the good thing about that is they've got ponds and lakes everywhere. You just jump in if you get hot. They don't have that up at Northbrook, but also it's not as hot at Northbrook.
It's not as, I don't know. It's been pretty damn hot up there in Northbrook, and Horse and Hunt, that upper Midwest, can bake in July and August. Yeah, I mean, it'll be hot at Providence, but they do such a good job hospitality wise there.
If I'm picking one of the two, I'm going to Northbrook. Just saying.
Northbrook's hard to beat. I'm just going to try to do both of them.
Yeah.
But it's hard. I mean, there's lots of kind of local kind of shoots that historically I've been to, but I'm not going to go to the, like the Gamil. Used to go to the Gamil. Used to be a big thing to go to Gamil for me all the time.
Yeah.
It gets lost nowadays. I mean, between all these regionals, like a U.S. Open used to be.
Yeah. I would say you don't hear a lot about Gamil anymore. I know it still goes on, and I enjoy going.
Still a good shoot,
right? But you
East
just don't
Coast
hear much.
Championship, another good shoot. And I'm just thinking kind of in our area here, but it's tough. It amazes me, the calendar. The calendar is just bustling with these mega shoots.
Yeah.
So it's a buyer's market. They need to put some thought into it, spread them out. It gets tough to go back to back. And pick places, that you haven't been to before based on reputation.
Yeah, and if you don't have a lot of time off, something that I've done before is if I've got the weekend off, I leave on Friday. I try to shoot as much as I can, and if I get there early enough Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, so I didn't have to take off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it can be done with maybe one day of work off, but it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough. I mean, a lot of it will be based on either the driving distance or, like, say if you went to Providence and you were trying to fly home, you're trying to fly home Sunday night, you probably ain't get home on Sunday night flight out of Mississippi. Right. But if you're at Northbrook, you could probably get a flight out of Chicago Sunday night.
That's right. Yep.
So those are things you have to consider. And then, this whole new wrinkle is getting thrown into driving in Texas because of all the car theft stuff.
I'm telling you, we went down there this year and almost didn't want to go do anything simply because of that.
Yeah.
It's like you want to get further and further and further away from the club in that area, just so you don't have something happen to your stuff.
Yeah. I had a brand new truck. I got it the day before I drove out, and I was so worried about it. I left it at the gun club and caught rides back and forth to the hotel. But
come on, Will. Nobody wants your truck.
Heck, it took 3 months to get it.
Yeah. Well, at least you got one. A lot of people can't get one right now. Can't find
so it's I think the NSCA is going to have to up its game on some security around there, if nothing else, to keep morale up. And then people are going to have to demand these hotels have more security, or just start staying further out of San Antonio.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous, and what's, Mark Baltazar, everybody that's in clay shooting, the forum on Facebook.
10-day-old platinum F-250 gets stolen.
And flipped. And the cops won't chase them because it's dangerous to the public, because these guys will go crazy and drive your truck wide open.
And I know the hotel Mark's at. It's a nice hotel, and it's not in a bad part of town.
I want to hear the full story from Mark. I want to hear exactly.
Get him on here for.
I want to hear the whole story. I was going to ask him at Nationals, but he's probably got asked 250,000 times, so I didn't ask him. But
I just didn't feel like making him go through it all again.
Yeah, but at least, listen, the good part of it is he got a flip-flop, a hat, and some keys out of the whole deal. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, talking about these big shoots to go to, I know that one that I'm going to go to is the Gator Cup, because it's always good. I like Fred and Maria Finizzi.
Absolutely. And they just had kind of a shakedown cruise this weekend. Past weekend, they had the Frazier 500 in honor of my good friend Chuck Frazier. And that gave them an opportunity to run, multiple events over the course of a weekend. They had FITASC, they had super sporting FITASC 5-stand, prelim, and a main event.
That's correct. Yeah, I shot there. I shot.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I couldn't make it. I couldn't get back in time for Texas, but it sounds like it went well, huh?
It did. It was. I mean, I thought it was perfect. I mean, the people, the hospitality there is always great. Cody Matson, which you've talked about several times, he set some great targets, and you can ask anybody that was there that the targets were perfect. They weren't too hard, they weren't too easy. The scores were in line with all the classes, and I've heard several people talking about how much fun they had.
And I'll tell you, I'm glad to hear that. And I'll tell you something a lot of people don't take into account. Matt or Anthony will tell you this in a heartbeat. Setting targets in the fall of the year in trees, in the woods, which is Cherokee Roses, heavily wooded, is tough. It's really tough because you got light coming in at a low angle through those trees, and you got more bad background and more strobe light than ever before. And for you to say that about the targets in those conditions, that means he really put in some work.
Well, I think there was 15 stations on each course. Okay. And I shot both courses. Well, let me start over. The prelim and super sporting was on one course. The main was on one course. Okay. So they got two courses out there that they were running, and I only had one station per course that had a strobe bird on that I thought was, I couldn't really see that well, but there's nothing you could do about it, Right. And it was, other than that, I mean, I still ran the station, so it wasn't that big of a deal. It was just a little strobe, but you're going to have that anywhere you go in normally.
Yep, especially in the fall or
right.
early spring. Yeah.
Yeah. But the food was great. The hospitality was perfect.
Oh, they know how to put it on there.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And
I think Gator Cup is going to be, it's going to be something else. I think, the twist that Cherokee Rose is going to bring to it with hospitality is going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah. Double D and Gene, and Fred Maria, that's what they're concerned with, is making sure everybody's taken care of. And
I'm just so happy to hear, Joe, you didn't shoot the FITASC again. I got to work on that. But everybody raved about Joe's FITASC targets.
Yeah.
Joe set FITASC on the same ground the last time Cherokee Rose had FITASC. I guess it was at Georgia State, 15 years ago?
Joe Canny, that is.
Yep. And I shot those targets in, and he set them now, and he's going to be setting them again at the Gator Cup. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's FITASC king.
Did you know people's talked about parking at Cherokee Rose? Did you know that they just acquired property across the street?
Yeah.
That they're going to have as parking?
Clear that out and make some more parking. Yeah. That's going to be awesome.
The parking is not going to be an issue at all. So anybody that's worried about parking, you don't need to worry about that. Trust me. You'll have plenty of places to park.
Cool.
So, that's something else.
It's definitely one of the shoots on my list. I mean, I'm going to go Jack Links, Seminole Cup, then Gator Cup.
Well, are you signed up for Gator Cup?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Because it's full.
It's full.
There's a waiting list. If anybody wants to go, you better go ahead and get on the waiting list now, because
and most likely if you got on a waiting list now, you'll probably get in, because there's always a wave or two of people that find out that their wife isn't going to let them go, or something's going on at work, and they have to pull out, and then they start working their way down the waiting list, putting people in.
Yeah.
Same thing with U.S. Open. Basically, it's been, for all practical purposes, full for quite a while now. Rick said, yes, if somebody wants to get in, they get on the waiting list, they're probably going to get in, but you're not going to have your pick of shoot times and pick of events. I mean, these days you have to sign up for stuff like a year out if you want to get decent rotations. I signed up for what did I sign up for last night? I signed up for Browning Briley, World English, and something else. Oh, Georgia State. Signed up for 3 shoots last night just to kind of go ahead and get my name in there and get the squad times I wanted.
Yeah, I'm not signed up for any of that. Rick.
You better get on the stick.
I know Rick's listening to this.
But I know you're an important figure now.
Yeah.
You're internet famous.
Yeah. Yeah.
You and Gary Fitzgerald, y'all are internet famous. So you probably could get what you need.
Hey, I'm going to say something about Gary. Gary did a podcast with we released it with David Niederer from Texas.
Foss Point, yeah.
Yeah. And they really covered some good stuff. I really expected it to be more cussing with Gary, but it was really good stuff. It was about setting targets and how they like to set targets.
David is a really good target setter.
Yeah. If you hadn't listened to that,
I wish he'd get out and set more. He does a really good job.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't know the U.S. Open's full, so I guess I'll have to get on a waiting list for that, but I'm definitely going to try to go.
You're, like I said, you're important. You get in.
Yeah. So as you're a full-time coach, and you have clients nearly every day of the week, all year. Does this make you not want to ever go shoot?
No, like I kind of talked about when we were talking about leading up to nationals. I still love shooting. I really love competing. I do have to kind of schedule in time for myself to practice, because, like I said, it's really hard after being on the range 8 hours. And come 5 o'clock, to get excited to go grab a flight of shells and run back out and shoot some more, even though you're visiting some club that's got awesome targets, or here at the school, I can kind of create whatever I want. I've got, 25 machines and clay bots and towers, and, I can make up whatever I want to do. But if you've been standing on the range all day watching targets, you're kind of like over it. You're done for the day. You don't want to go out there and shoot some more, and you have to work at it. So what I have to do is schedule, days or at least afternoons off to go practice.
Yeah.
And it doesn't kill my desire for it at all. I still love it. Matter of fact, taking a lesson with me, you'll know I'll get itchy, and every now and then say, hey, let me hold your gun. Let me try that one too. I just, I enjoy it. but when you've been on the range all day for a week, it's hard to get fired up to go practice. And you have to practice to keep your confidence level up to shoot the kind of scores that need to be shot these days to win.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
That's just the way it rolls. So you gotta be doing what I do. You have to budget time for yourself to go practice.
So Fennell Shooting School is the name of your establishment. Are you coaching competitive shooters or recreational shooters or both or hunters? What do you?
Both, but if you had to pick kind of what I'm bring the most to the table for, or most known for, is usually coach competitive shooters. I got plenty of wing shooters, and I got plenty of recreational guys that I have a great time with, and I like that. My wife is especially good with that. We're also the instructors down at Kiawah Island at the gun club there. Mm-hmm. She spends more of her time at Kiawah because she really loves that environment down there. What lady doesn't go to Charleston and fall in love with it? Right. So she does lots and lots and lots of recreational shooters there. Now she does do some competitive shooters, does a great job with that also, but her passion probably is getting new shooters involved in the sport and over their initial fears and, self-conscious things and stuff, and get people on the road to shooting. She does an amazing job with that. So we kind of cover the gamut that way.
I just thought about something. I've known you for a while, and I've never met your wife. Guess you've never met mine either.
Yeah, that's right. Never met yours either. Got to fix that, man.
Yeah, I gotta meet Elizabeth. Doesn't she do something with a female group? Was Grits? Is she still involved with that?
Grits. It's a organization she founded. Girls really into shooting, and I mean, she just had a group of them traveled around North and South Carolina shooting for the last 2 or 3 days, and she's taken, I think, 12 or 14 women to Wales to shoot driven pheasants coming up next month. And they have, I think, I lose track, I think there's 26, 27 chapters around the United States of Grits. And they all travel around and shoot together and do all kinds of stuff, getting more ladies involved in the sport. And they have an absolute blast. I'll never forget being with them up in New York. Elizabeth was visiting a chapter up there, and somebody's gun started jamming. So I jumped in the cart and I ran. We were at 10 Mile River Preserve, and I ran down to the clubhouse to borrow another gun. And so the course is kind of up on the mountain, and I go roaring up in a UTV or whatever I was driving, and the manager and the assistant manager are standing outside, and they're looking up at the mountain, their mouths hanging open. And I turned the vehicle off and said, "What are y'all looking at?" And they said, "What's that sound? It sounds like coyotes or something up on that mountain." And it was the women all hooting and hollering and laughing and carrying on and having a good time. So they know how to turn shooting clays into just an unbelievable good time with no scorecards. They don't allow any scorecards. And that helps a lot of new shooters get over the fear of being compared to the experienced shooters kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, if that's what it takes, you know, I think it's good that women get involved with the sport for sure.
Absolutely.
So, let's talk about FITASC for a second. I don't shoot FITASC, and you're going to, and you bring this up to me more often than not is why I don't shoot it. So not for me, but just in general, give me a step-by-step instruction on how you would help someone feel comfortable with FITASC and how to succeed in it.
Okay, so kind of assuming they're already a sporting shooter,
right?
But they just haven't taken that step into FITASC.
Yeah.
Well, first thing, I just tell them up front, look, over half the targets are singles, and you get full use of the gun. So over half the targets, you get 2 shots at it. Mm-hmm. First off, 2 shots is more fun. Second off, we ought to be able to hit them. We get 2 shots at them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Hope so.
Yeah. It's more fun from my point of view because there's more unique targets. So like at Nationals, they ran what we call new style FITASC. So every shooting position had its own set of machines. So when you move to the next hoop or peg, as we call it, it's a whole nother set of machines, a whole nother set of problems to solve. So you see more unique targets. Mm-hmm. You get 2 shots at most of them. And the only thing you have to do is start with the gun lowered down the front of your chest, a little ways.
Yeah.
And you can't move the gun till you see the bird. So that means all you really have to do is learn how to mount the gun efficiently, which you should learn how to do to shoot sporting also.
Right.
I mean, anytime you got to wait on the bird, it's a good time to get the gun kind of down out of your face somewhat.
Right.
So I get real simple way to teach people how to mount the gun. It takes about 10 minutes. Takes some practice after that, but teach you how to do it. It takes about 10 minutes. And after that, you're off to the international version of sporting clays. You know, when you go to the World English Sporting Championships, and what we call sporting clays, the rest of the world calls English sporting, because really us in England and a little bit in Canada and a little bit in Scandinavia, that's about it that shoot English sporting.
Right.
So you go to the World English Sporting Championship, and there's maybe 4 national teams, 5 maybe. You go to the World FITASC Championship, and there's 40 teams, national teams. Because if you're in Australia or South Africa or Germany or France or Italy, and they say, let's go shoot sporting, they take you to shoot what we call FITASC. So it's the international version of sporting clays. And it's just a whole lot more fun. If there was enough FITASC, I'd probably never shoot sporting clays again.
You know,
and it's not that I don't like sporting clays. I just like FITASC that much more.
Yeah, a lot of people say that, you know.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of people say that.
It's more unique presentations. You don't just stand there and repeat a pair over and over again until you miss one. And over half the targets are singles, and you get to shoot twice at them. So
yeah, isn't a world, and I'm not taking this away from anybody, but isn't a world FITASC championship more valuable, so to speak, than a world sporting?
I think so. Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, just because you're
beating,
the people.
You're playing against the world.
Yeah,
not just us in England.
Yeah,
and the other thing I really like about it, we mentioned referees earlier. FITASC referees are much more highly trained and dedicated. So there's basically no monkey business. There's no getting over on the referee kind of thing.
There's also no coaching, right?
No coaching in FITASC. And in England, there's no coaching in sporting clays, which is a rule I wish we would adopt here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't, the guy that's up there shooting, you can't start telling him he's in front or behind or give it some more or that kind of stuff. Because, and the main reason they do that in FITASC is because it slows the game down.
Yeah.
It's not so much about the value of the coaching you would be giving. It's the fact that you slow the game down. So when they have a world FITASC or a European FITASC championship, big shoot, you're limited to 15 seconds. Well, in any FITASC event, you're limited to 15 seconds between shooting at one bird and calling for the next. And that's to keep things moving, because if you're trying to get 1,000 people through today and every squad takes an extra minute,
yeah,
then the last squad's out and it's getting dark.
Right. Yeah. I like that.
So yeah, I wish there was no coaching at all in sporting clays in the U.S. either. But maybe we'll get there one day.
That must be.
But there's not any in FITASC.
That must be why you shoot a gun called a parkour.
Absolutely.
Just because you like FITASC so much.
Yep. And I really love that gun. You know, I was a contract shooter for another company for 16, 17 years. Love the guns there. Love the people. Left, went to work for a Krieghoff dealer briefly and accepted a Krieghoff sponsorship.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love with the parkour. It really suits my style of shooting. It's a very neutral balance. There's the weight in the gun is all between your hands. The barrels are exceptionally light, lightest over and under barrels on the market. And, and then you got that good old K80 in the middle that's, strong like a tiger tank. And the gun really suits me well. After I left working for that dealer, the other company gave me a chance to come back. I just liked the parkour so much, I stayed. I really did. I value that gun a lot. I've tried some other guns and some other barrel configurations of the Krieghoff, and keep going back to the original parkour barrels.
Yeah.
Fixed choke, let it rip, tater chip. Like it.
Yeah. They've also come out with, and you're a Krieghoff sponsor shooter. You've been that for since I've known you, and you're not going to move to the Parkour X?
No. Okay. No, they sent me a set of those barrels to test. I I understand why they make them. Some people like chocolate. Some people like vanilla. Some people wanted a barrel that weighed a little bit more. I shot it a little bit, called back to the mothership and said, hey, these X barrels, we're not going to quit making the original barrels, right? And they said, oh, no, the X barrels are just, there's an option in case somebody wants them. They said, why? I said, well, because if you were quitting making the original barrels, I was going to order 2 or 3 sets of those just to keep in reserve. I like them dramatically better than the X barrels. Dramatically. I like the 34s. I probably like the 34s more than I do the X barrels. But I've shot 32-inch barrels for so long, I didn't really see an advantage in me changing. I really like the parkour barrels just the way they are. The only thing I did, the set that I shoot currently, I ordered it in advance and ordered the chokes the way I wanted. I ordered it German IMOD in both barrels. So it makes about 30 thousandths in both barrels.
Good gracious. Well,
and because of that, I do, I shoot Fiocchi, and I do make good use of Fiocchi spreader loads occasionally.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but occasionally. I probably used over the course of the whole nationals, I might have used, all the stuff I shot. I probably used 2 boxes of them.
Yeah.
But they give, out of my fixed choke gun, they give a 36-inch pattern, 34-inch pattern at 20 yards. So it's kind of like having a cylinder choke in your pocket.
Yeah. Nice. I could use that sometime. I'll just take my choke out and go with it.
Yeah, if my gun had screw chokes, that's what I do too, or just put a cylinder in.
Yeah.
But since mine's fixed choke, this just gives me an option of having a wide open pattern when I need it.
Yeah, that's a pretty big pattern to have it coming out of an IMOD barrel.
It's essentially the same as a cylinder choke pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to venture off to say that you're
now, and then the one other addition to my gun is stocked by the best. It's stocked by Jim Greenwood. So,
well, let's talk about that for a second. Jim finished my stock. I don't know when it was, a few months back, and I absolutely love that stock. That my gun. It fits unbelievably. The recoil, just everything.
It makes everything easier, doesn't it?
I'm telling you. And once you get it like you want it, or you can tell a difference for sure. Mm-hmm. And he did a great job on it. I mean, absolutely amazing job. And I can't thank him enough for doing it.
I had a friend who was a very, very accomplished shooter. And he always had, the typical adjustable comb and, spacers in the back under the recoil pad and all that kind of stuff. And mm-hmm. He always made it work. I mean, he's like I said, he's a very accomplished shooter. And he asked me what I thought about doing a stock with Jim. And I said, well, after you've done it, you kind of can't imagine shooting any other way. So he did the pattern stock process, and he called me up. He said, you SOB. I said, what do you mean? He said, you didn't tell me how much better this was. I said, let me guess. You're used to mounting the gun and then kind of snuggling into the stock and then going after the target. And now you don't have to do that, right? He said, absolutely. Now the gun just comes up and I go after the target.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it just all falls into place when it fits you right.
Yeah, you don't have to do all that checking.
Yep.
It's all that goes away. I'm going to say that your biggest win lately is probably the 2020 Senior World FITASC Championship.
Yep.
You won that. Yep. You also this year finished 4th in Veterans at Nationals and in the main and FITASC. Mm-hmm. So what's next for you? What's your goals now?
Big World FITASC next year, Italy. Come on.
You ready?
I need you to go with me.
Oh, you're asking me to go with you.
Yeah.
I'd like to go over there. I'd like to go there. I'd like to go to
the truck stop food is good in Italy.
What?
I said the truck stop food is good in Italy. Plus, you can't be world champion unless you go to the world championship. So, you got to go.
Well, I would like to go is that the place that does or does not have air conditioning?
You always want to check and make sure your hotel does.
Yeah. If they don't, you can forget it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty toasty in Italy that time of year.
Yeah. They better have air.
Gotta go, man. They'll probably, I bet, unless COVID really flares up again or something, typically, I think the last time it was in Italy, we probably had 80 Americans go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just get me a room wherever you go.
Just got to go with the team.
Yeah. Well, I can go with the team. That's fine. I'll go over there with them. So, but, I've had,
that's the big shoot of the year every year for me is the World FITASC. Obviously I'll be really excited about the World Sporting. The Nationals, the Open at Rick's will be good. The Gator Cup's be good. Seminole Cup will be good. Georgia State, really excited about that. It's going to be a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, listen, I've had a good time talking to you. I think this was actually a pretty good old conversation.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Where are you going to be next? I mean, it's the end of the year, but where are you going to be next? You going to stay at the house, cool out for a little while?
Well, I got Greenwood coming in Thanksgiving, and we do 9 days of pattern stocks and teaching here.
I think you may be the only private club that has Jim Greenwood come. Am I right or wrong?
Well, he came to Westside with us. That's another private club, but he kind of did that with me. So
yeah, I'm talking about with you though.
Yep, he'd come spring and fall here. We started that. Jim had that tragedy when his place burned down.
Right.
And I immediately invited him out here and said, "Hey, you get here, I'll get you full. We'll get that cash flow going again."
Yeah.
And so he's been coming in spring and fall every year here now since that happened.
Yeah.
And we have a good time. I mean, look, everybody comes in, they do their stock with Jim, they spend the night, they usually do a lesson with me the next day with their new stock. So it's good for my teaching business, but also I work with Jim on, I watch him and ask questions and go in and help and do with all the fittings and all the pattern stocks. And I'll learn more and more and more for myself about fitting.
Yeah.
He's the man. I do a lot of gun fitting, but he does my gun fitting.
Yeah, he's definitely very smart with it.
Yep.
And for people listening that don't know, I'm sure if you're in this sport, you had to have heard of Jim Greenwood. And if you know, he's very busy and he's out of Kansas. So if you're on the East Coast, and he's coming to Will's place, he's normally booked, but you might want to check. And,
we're definitely full right now with a waiting list, okay. But you can check for next spring.
Yeah.
Just give me a call. I'll put you on the list to notify for next spring. We may do I'm trying to con him in to go in with me to West Side again next spring between the Browning Briley and the World English.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be an opportunity. I don't have anything confirmed yet, but I figured if I throw this out on the internet, it might force Jim's hand in doing it. So he's in demand. He's very much in demand. Yeah. With Jim, you do a pattern stock first, and that's what he does when he's at my place. You do a pattern stock.
No Bondo. He does it all out of wood.
He does it all out of wood. Very rarely does he ever have to do any Bondo. And usually the times he's had to do Bondo is when somebody's insisted he do something that he didn't want to do, and then he has to go put it back.
Yeah.
But no, he's amazing. He's super talented. He's a hell of a good shot too.
He is. He is. And that's surprising. It's surprising. I say it's surprising because he's always working and he don't have time to shoot. But Jared, his boy, he can run with the
really best. Tearing it up.
He can run with the best of them. I mean, they're
absolutely.
They're both really good. Also, you have Dan Carlisle come into your place for people that don't know about that. Tell them about that.
Yep. Dan comes again twice a year. We do a joint clinic like he and I used to do in the old days. Dan, when I first started shooting, Dan actually lived in South Carolina. That's where we got to be buddies. And he's the one that got me started shooting and then got me started teaching. We teach, I teach exactly what he's taught me. We like to get together and do these clinics. Kind of keeps us both sharp.
Mm-hmm.
So probably sometime next year, I haven't set the date yet, probably be in April or something. He'll come in for a week. We'll take groups of 6 people for the day. They'll alternate working between Dan and I over the course of the day. And we'll do 10, 11 days of that straight. And then we'll do it again in the fall. Yep. So that's always a hit. It always sells out. We always try to get you over here, and you always come up with some reason why you can't make it. And so we have to talk to you on the phone. Otherwise, you could come here and we could record a podcast in person.
Yeah, that'd be good. That's a good idea.
Do that. Get Dr. Colo in occasionally. I'll try to do that some more this year.
Henry?
So we kind of try to keep things going here around the school. The school's a private teaching setting. It's not a public course. And so it's kind of tailor-made for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You also have Henry come in sometimes if he can get here.
Yep. Hopefully we're going to get Henry back because the UK's opening back up. Hopefully Henry's going to be here in the spring.
Yeah.
Don't know yet for sure, but that's what we're working on. And he is an amazing dude. You will definitely need to come meet him face to face when he comes over, buddy.
Yeah, he might be able to read my thoughts.
No, it's kind of a blank screen like that would be. So let's delve a little deeper. I might have to get a Ouija board out to get to you.
I'll tell people how to find you and find out how to keep up with all this stuff.
Obviously social media, Facebook, Fennell Shooting School on Facebook and Instagram. www.fennellshootingschool.com is the website. And I'm in most all the major shoots. Look me up.
There you go. Will Fennell. Thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate your time.
No problem, buddy. Anytime. It's like the old days.
All right. We'll see you, Will.
All right. Talk to you soon.